Hi, everyone. I am in the process of trying to make my technology work, so um, bear with me, please. Here we go. I think I maybe got this figured out. Oh, yay, me. It's always a challenge, but here we go. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. I'm sure a lot of you are gearing up, getting on your jerseys, making your snacks and your goodies for the game, and just getting ready to have a fun time. And I have to confess, I'm not a football girl, even though my brother was a football coach. Football just isn't my thing, but I think it makes a great metaphor for life. And so I thought it'd be fun to just chat a little today about how that works for us, well, as a metaphor. So interestingly, football players, athletes are amazing people anyway. I mean, they train hard, they work hard, they sacrifice a lot to be able to do what they want to do. And there's so much that obviously we all know that goes into getting ready for these big games. There's a big win at the end of the game for whoever wins. So it's a big prize thereafter. So they work really hard for that prize. But I think we all have big prizes in our life, big things that we want to go after, goals that we want to reach, things we want to accomplish in our life. And we too, like those Super Bowl players, we can do that too. So I have some thoughts I want to share with you on that. And feel free to ring in if you want to ring in or just kind of listen. And I see, oh, hello to Lisa. Hi there. Fun to see some of my Facebook people hanging out here and probably getting ready for the big game. I'm sure some of you are making something fabulous. I have I'm going to go to the pregame party at our neighbors. And then when it was time for the action to start, I'm going to come back home and watch a movie. But anyway, I'm ready to go too. So back to football as a metaphor. First of all, I think when you are wanting to win in life, whatever you're doing, it's really important to ask yourself, what is my goal? What is the end result? What am I trying to get from this? It's very hard to reach a goal when you don't have one, or when it's this big nebulous thing out there. I want to be successful. I want to be happy. Well, that's great. But specifically, how do you want to be? Where do you want to succeed? How do you want to be happy? What are you going to do to make that happen? You've got to have something kind of specific to aim at, because if you aim at nothing, well, guess what? You'll hit it. So you want to have a goal. So that's number one. And maybe you're going to want to kind of write down some notes as we're talking here. So how to get there? First of all, you've got to list what it is. Then you're going to make your list of how am I going to get to that goal. And the thing on that is just sit down and what are the steps I might need to make to get where I want to go. I'm going to talk briefly for those of us who are readers and writers. And maybe you are working on building up a following on Instagram as a reviewer. Or maybe you are I'm going to finally write that book. I'm going to sit down and write that book I've talked about writing forever. Hi, Dana, I see you. Anyway, you need to, how am I going to do this? So we're going to talk in terms of that. How am I going to make that happen? Well, for those of us as writers, you have to put in the training time, first of all. And doing that, training involves learning. And for me as a writer, I spent a lot of time before I was really started to make things happen with my career. By the way, you guys, I've crashed my career twice. I'm like Cher, I keep reinventing myself. And so if you first, succeed, if you get tackled by whatever that yard line is, you got to get up and you got to get in the game again, right? So I don't want you to give up, when you feel like, oh man, I didn't make that happen. I didn't finish that book. I didn't get the raise. I didn't get the job I wanted. Don't let that stop you from getting up and getting back in the game. Hey, Nancy, Wisconsin, getting ready for the Super Bowl, I'm sure. Anyway, so some of the things I did when I was first starting out to train myself, because that's what these guys do. They learn plays, they get in condition, they do all these things to get themselves ready. And so part of how I got ready to be a writer is I started studying. Of course, I always have been writing. I'd always been writing books, but I wanted to get better. So I haunted my library. Oh my gosh. I was always at the library checking out the latest book on writing. And for those of you out there who might be thinking, I'm going to write that book, I'm going to share a couple books that I really like. A lot of them I checked at the library, and then I went and bought the copy so I could have it to refer to. This is one of the biggest books. This actually, Writing the Blockbuster Novel by Robert Zuckerman. this kind of set off light bulbs for me. Early in my career, I would just bang out my little story, go, okay, I'm done. And it never dawned on me that I could make the story bigger and better, that I could go back and improve it. And what was interesting about this book, he was an agent, and he worked with several famous writers, including Ken Follett, who wrote, what did he write? Pillars of the Earth, and the Key to Rebecca, and The Eye of the Needle. Anyway, the guy is such a huge writer. Anyway, his agent showed examples of when he was first planning his books and how he kept getting sent back to the drawing board, and each time he would add more, bigger and better. And that was like a light bulb moment. How can I improve? Do I just stop with what I have? And I think whatever your goal is on that, that's a really good thing to keep in mind. Am I settling, or am I going to improve and get better? Because, of course, we all know the way you move up the corporate ladder, or the way you get that promotion, or the way you become a better gardener or a better parent is you keep learning. You keep working to get better at that. So anyway, that was one book that I really liked. And I see Marta has joined us. Hey, hi from Michigan. Feel free if you have questions on specifics on maybe a goal you're trying to reach. Feel free to post something, and we'll see if we can brainstorm a little bit on how to help you get there. Here's another good book that this little part is for writers that I wrote. This is called Writing the Breakout Novel. It's by Donald Moss. It's a classic. It's old, like me. Anyway, it's a really good book too on how to write a bigger, better book. And so that's one that I invested and kept to my library. This, in fact, I think this is actually, yes, I actually have this signed by the author, The Writer's Journey. And he talks about mythology and how basic story plots work. And he uses movies a lot as an example. And if you start watching movies, you go, oh my gosh, there's the part where they go into the enemy camp. Oh, there's where they're refusing the call to adventure. And so many big stories follow this plan. Hi, Marcia. Thanks for popping in to say hi. It's very interesting reading. There are a couple of things I don't agree with him on. He kind of lumps Christianity in with the myths, and I'm not going there. I'm not agreeing with them on that. But you know what? The interesting thing, when we're reading things and when we're listening to teachers and people, we don't necessarily have to agree with everything they say. You don't have to agree with everything I say. Obviously, we all have opinions, but I think everybody has something to say that we can learn from. And that was a really helpful book. Another one. This is called Save the Cat. This writer is no longer, if I can get this where you can see it, Blake Snyder is no longer alive, sadly. And this was written for screenwriters who wanted to write movie scripts. And it was really good. And I don't have it here, but I have the newer version of that. Someone wrote, Save the Cat Writes a Book. Right? And that one is for writers so that they can learn. And so those are things that I put in my toolbox to help me get where I wanted to go. Other things I did, I went to writers' conferences. And there are all kinds of good ones around the country. The Pacific Northwest Writers Conference here in Washington is excellent. There's one on Maui. Hey, if you want to get to Hawaii and do a conference all at the same time, that's a cool one you can do. But there are conferences all over the country that you can go to. And again, this is part of how we're training, how we're learning, how we're getting better. Hi, Karen. Hoping to see you this summer. Anyway, so those are things that are important to do. The other thing, those football players all have a coach. So I don't care if you are wanting to make more money, if you are wanting to get out of debt, if you are wanting to be a better parent, there are coaches out there. There are books you can read. There are people who can help you. If you're even wanting to get past life traumas and problems that you have had, there are people who can help you. There are therapists who can help you. There are books you can read. I should have had it here for show and tell. I didn't think to get it. I just finished one recently by Dr. John Deloney, and it was, change your past. No, acknowledge your past, change your future. I don't remember. Hey, Gerhardt, when you get a second, will you go in the bedroom and get that John Deloney book out of my nightstand that's right by the bed? I'm going to have my other half bring that book out so I can do that for a show and tell, because that's a very helpful book. If your Super Bowl goal is to overcome some of the challenges in life that have been holding you back and deal with some of your problems, that is a book, really good book to read. And hopefully he can find that and I can show and tell that for you. Hi, Mary. Good to see you. So, getting back to the whole thing of the coaches podcast, I love podcasts. I know I'm late to the party, recently discovered podcasts. I love listening to the Ramsey podcast. And now I know on social media, he takes some hits. People, oh, well, you're out of touch and you don't know anything. But they're always having people on their show who say, well, we got out. We paid $40,000 worth of debt. We paid $100,000 worth of debt off. Here's how we did it. Here's how we got debt free. And people can call into the show when they have financial questions and they answer them. And so if maybe your goal is this year, my Super Bowl is to get some of this debt paid off, maybe something like that is going to be the coach you're going to look for. You're going to check out Ramsey Solutions and listen to their podcast. Gerhard just found this other book for me. This guy actually is one of the people who comes on there and helps people. Dr. John Deloney. Own Your Past. I couldn't think of that part. Own Your Past, Change Your Future, Dr. John Deloney. And that was a very interesting book. And again, it's really, like I said, even experts, you're not going to agree with everything everybody says. But usually we can find some takeaway, something that we can learn to help us do better and move on. So podcast. So that's one podcast. If you're trying to do money problems, I would recommend give that a shot and see. And of course, there are all kinds of other financial experts out there who can help you maybe get your ship righted. So those are our coach you might want to find. Maybe you are wanting some inspiration as an entrepreneur. Maybe you're getting ready to try and start a business. I found a really fun podcast. It's called How I Built This. And he interviews all kinds of entrepreneurs, and you hear about the ups and downs of their businesses and how they worked to improve those and make those better. That's kind of cool. So those are interesting. Those are just a few little things that you maybe can do to get some good coaching. And of course, parenting books. Oh my goodness, those are out there everywhere. So just go to your local bookstore, go to your library, ask for recommendations from people. And another thing to do with coaching, find a mentor. I think it's really important to take advantage of people who know stuff. And maybe that is somebody in your neighborhood. Maybe that's an older woman in the neighborhood. Maybe that's like a mother-in-law, or maybe even just your mom. Maybe it is your pastor. Maybe it is someone in business who you admire, but we can always learn from others. So if you're trying to succeed somewhere, if you are trying to make a goal happen, find a coach, find somebody who can help you get there. And oh my gosh, we have somebody in from Bangladesh. Wow, that's very cool. Thank you for joining us. How fun is that? Hopefully I don't know if you'll get too much out of this because I'm talking to US people and oh my goodness, I've never been to Bangladesh. So, but I'm happy that you have stopped in to say hi. So thanks for stopping in. So what have we got so far? We've set a goal. We've done that. Here's the Super Bowl I'm wanting to get to. We are working toward getting that by making our plan, and we are finding a coach. We're finding someplace, somehow, somebody we can learn from. Okay, so those are our things. And then again, the game plan. Now you want to list the steps that are going to get you where you want to go. Okay, for me, I wanted to become a writer. Well, all right. Then for step number one, I just sit down and do it. I have talked to a lot of people over the years that have said, I'm going to write a book. And then they never do. Or they get bogged down. They got sidetracked. I'm just going to spend my whole life researching the book and I'm never going to write it. Well, that doesn't get you where you got to go. But you do have to have that. You have to have a concrete, I can make this goal. So that's our first thing that we'll want to do is we've set our goal. And then the next thing is we're going to train. You're going to have to set aside, I don't care if it's exercise or diet or whatever. We all know you have to set aside time to do this thing that you want to do so you can get where you want to go. And I want to give a quick shout out here to Megan Chance, a writer who I have known for years. And way back when we were all sweet young things, Megan, it's so interesting. She worked a full-time job, but Saturday mornings were her writing day. And there was a writer's meeting that day. Sorry, I can't make it. If the girls were going to lunch, whatever, I have to write. And she kept to that goal. And that was how she wrote her first book while she was working a full-time job. A shout out to my other half, Gerhard. He decided at some point he needed to go back to school. He wanted to further his education and be able to do more teaching, and he needed a master's degree. And he got that on his lunch hour, of all things. That was when he put in all his time because he was working a full-time job. But he did it. He managed to get that degree done, and that was a discipline. That was not an easy thing to do. And we all had to kind of pitch in and help him do that. Another really good thing is you want a team. You want to get a team together to help you. In a case like that, where one of us is going back for a degree, or one of us is going for more training, or one of us is looking for a new job, you need to have your team there supporting you. You need to have people who are going to give you emotional support and encouragement and help you with your game plan, because it's very hard to do some of these things on your own. But again, the most important player on your team for your goal is you. And everybody can try their best to help you, but if you aren't going to put in the time and the discipline to get there, well, just not going to happen. So that's the main thing. And the game plan, get your game plan in order, get your goal, get your coach, and make those dreams come true. I really believe that we can make a lot of things happen in our lives if we just get out there and do them. So I hope whatever you're working on, whatever your particular Super Bowl goal is, as you're watching those players today doing their thing, I'm hoping that maybe that will encourage you to get out there and do your own thing. Watch how hard they're working to get that ball over the goalpost. And what can you be doing to get the ball over your goalpost? Anyway, everybody, thanks for joining me today. I know I did some rambling here, but that's just kind of how it works in the land of Sheila. We ramble. But anyway, hopefully some of that was encouraging. Please try not to get discouraged. I know that these are tough times for a lot of people. Please just hang in there and set your goals and really try to work toward them. And I know you can do it. I know you can do it. We've gone through so many struggles and hard times in our own lives, and it hasn't been easy, but I managed to get the football over the goalpost. And of course, now I have new, bigger goals that I want to keep moving toward. But I'm going to keep working, and I hope you're going to keep working. And let's hope we can all get that ball over the goalpost. So thanks so much for joining me today, and have fun at your Super Bowl parties.